I'm gonna be honest, I was surprised. Creature Commando actually surprised me for how shit it was. Nah, imagine.
It means something to you?
And delighted to serve our country.
Because you took the life of the only friend I have.
Nah, honestly, Creature Commando was the shit. I actually had a really good time watching it. It's definitely a really good start to the new DCU by James Gunn. I'm extremely excited for what we have upcoming next, whether it be the Batman Brave and the Bold, even though it's directed by that guy. I'm a little bit scared, but you know what? It is what it is. Also, as well as the new Superman that's gonna drop soon. I can't wait. I'm very hyped to see that with a few friends in the movie theaters. But the video is not about that whatsoever. It's about Creature Commandos. That shit was very, very good. If I'll be honest, it generally had me guessing a few times like where the direction of the story would be going, and if we would hit certain other plot points or beats from other DC products, just like for Suicide Squad 2 or even Suicide Squad 1. That we partially do, but the actual good parts of that first movie, which is very slim to none, just the small ideas of it that I'll get into later in the video. One of the things I wanted to get into is the origins. Now, the origins are in pretty much most of the episodes, if not all of them, I believe, for every single character that is there. But the thing is, when it comes to origins, you can easily fuck it up, or if it's been retold 100 million times, obviously you don't want to see it. But for characters that you don't see at all, like most of these characters in Creature Commando that borderline feel like original characters for all these semi or mostly new origins, it feels like a good breath of fresh air, one. And two, it is good when they mix it with the story itself, so it feels like we're not being so stagnant when it comes to the story. The story is still going on, but we're getting the origin of these characters and getting a more deep introspective look and seeing, hey, is this guy really a fucking monster or not? Or even if you are a monster, who is the real monster? That little quirky thing that a lot of people do, like, is humanity the monster? Are the monsters the monsters? Are we the monsters? Are you watching the video about?
Pinwheels in my head, voices, angry fish.
But back on track, the reason I do also love some of James Gunn's movies that I do see here and there, or even now TV shows, is that he gives kind of everyone a spot to shine. Everyone gets a spotlight that is sort of the main character, or maybe even sharing a main character role, whether it comes to the whole squad itself. You get to see what's everyone's perspective on what they think of either how the world works, or what they think of what's going on, or how they would say or be in the next scene that we do see him in. With only having 7 episodes, it feels like I'm getting a nice grasp on what's going on when it comes to these characters and how they are. I'm gonna get to spoiler territory from here on out, so if you have not watched Creature Commando, I highly recommend it. But here we go. I will not get much into The Bride or Frankenstein right now. Just I'll say a little bit for the rest of the video I did happen to have before. But if you want to see all of the shit I said before, go look at that video when I went over the first 2 episodes. But the only thing I will be saying about Frankenstein is that he is extremely insane, but extremely consistent at the same time. It's so much so to the point of his insanity is sanity, and I get it, but I do not fuck with it whatsoever. He's a completely fucked person, hands down. Warped by his own insane definition of love that he believes in 150%. Showing that he has a different side of him, that has a side that could be a reasonable person, but every single time the bride gets brought up, he does not give a single fuck about any or everything except for that fucking bride. Something I wanted to get into before I get into the next character is just the idea of villains kind of getting humanized. I believe it's from what tweet I did see, but from, which is honestly, you know, Twitter is a bit of a cesspool, but that's beyond the point. The point is, like, it was kind of bashing the idea of villains getting humanized, and my thought process between that is, like, sometimes we do love the villain that is completely villainous for no fucking reason whatsoever, but just because someone does get humanized, or we do get an origin story that tells them why they got to the purpose that they got to, or the point they are at now, does not give them the excuse to be the person that they are now at all. They could definitely be a good person even after the fact of a tragic thing happening to them, like some other people, but others are like, fuck the world because the world fucked me. And I think that completely describes Dr. Phosphorus. I love Dr. Phosphorus a lot in the show. He's extremely funny. I think he has like some of the best jokes in the show whatsoever, on top of one of the best powers that are in the Creature Commandos, because literally he does some of the most fun and unique shit with his powers, regardless if it's the middle finger with the tank or him just doing some dumb stupid shit out of nowhere. I think it's either quite funny or just quite unique and quite cool at the same time. But also in the same breath, just his brutality and brutalness that he does show towards quite literally every and anybody. Now these can be just said as, oh, it's a joke, but with most of these people, he does not care whatsoever. He just will say, oh, I killed that guy, but I kind of like them, that sucks. Or he would just suggest the idea of killing or putting down one of his teammates because they're in the way of what is going on right now. A tragic tale of a family man that went to the descent of hell and came back, while showing the results of what happens when you reach that. Also find it completely interesting how they're viewed as monsters, and they even view themselves as monsters, disconnected from humanity, and they just bask in it. They bask in the idea of, fuck it, we're monsters, we don't abide by the humans and their rules, so why not be it and act like it? A monster, with them killing multiple other people, or with them actually being crude, rude, and not really thinking about the care of others just for the sake of the mission. And they understand that how it is. No one's gonna give a damn about a singular monster whatsoever. They're just another freak to be blamed when the government needs a scapegoat, and be strong but be expendable enough to be able to get a mission done. And now that I'm on this idea, I always thought it was always interesting whether it be this new age creature commandos or the Suicide Squad as an idea itself, making it more realistic of what would happen if we did have these superhero individuals in IRL. They would be captured by the government and then be used and put out on patrol missions, or to be doing whatever that needs to be done for the government. Being dark but also being extremely true to what they are themselves, monsters controlling monsters. With one of the other characters I did really want to get into, which was Nina. I felt like Nina did feel a lot of X-Men-y for a little bit, but that's only for the idea of her not fitting in and belonging in any place whatsoever, whether it be school, whether it be at home, not her mother wanting her. It was extremely sad of an origin story, and to the point where she genuinely didn't believe that she belonged on the surface or with any human, but being by herself alone. With society shunning you just for being the person you are, the person that you were born as, or the person that you turn into, leading you down a path that can sometimes be self-destructive or destructive to others that are around you, and only leading to a horrible future if you let others take control of you in the mindset that you have. Yo, hello, my bad. It's actually a branch of an idea I had. This is super future jugo here that I was editing. That had an idea I did really want to say is that it's kind of interesting that she doesn't really do much of anything, but she is kind of like the heart of the team itself, and she always has like a positive nature to her. She doesn't really fully commit to like the creature or the monster part. She still has that humanity in her, and she actually expels that to the other people that are in the group, sort of being nice to mostly the bride and sort of everyone else, but mostly the bride. And it's kind of funny that once she does commit that act of being that monster, she actually dies. It backfires and kills her in the end, which feeling with her innocence and humanity dying too with her. Now for one of the most arguably saddest characters here, which is G.I. Robot. G.I. Robot being one of the products that was made for World War II and fighting Nazis, and Nazis specifically, and nothing else, with him growing somewhat of a conscience as being an artificial AI, only to a certain point, because obviously it's 1939 and he can only be used at a specific time period, which will be World War II. So the question then becomes to ask, what are we gonna do after World War II? And he's sort of just used as a object of like, oh my goodness, look at this cool AI system that was killed over 1,000 Nazis and protected our brothers in arms when it came to fighting out the Nazis, and then is just shelved and not really taken care of from years to come, being passed around by person to person to person. And honestly, you can almost borderline compare it to any other veteran that we do have here in the United States, where after you served your time and you served your country and you've helped out whatever war that you were put in, you're just shelved. You're basically just used and not really taken care of once you served your purpose in the army, with some doing the ultimate sacrifice and just being thrown away like a toy. But sadly or gladly, if you look at perspective, this toy doesn't get used away or goes away. It remembers it all. G.I. Robot, the robot that will serve his country and kill any Nazis no matter how they look or what changes they make to seem different. A true American hero. Oh yeah, also going over some of the similar beats, if I had a nickel for every single time a flag person in the family had decided to have sex with and be with someone that they really shouldn't have, and is a powered individual that might potentially kill or end the world, I would probably have 2 nickels. Huh. That's kind of weird. But I do feel like James Gunn obviously does it way better than the Suicide Squad 1 movie, but I think it is pretty cool as like a kind of callback, or just saying how they all kind of do that. They all kind of just fuck up and think with their fucking cocks, I guess. I don't know. Even though y'all know how much I hate that fucking movie, but we're not gonna get into that ever. I don't think I ever want to get into that as a video. Also, going back to what I was saying earlier, I did really like how the idea of everything being like, I don't really know what's gonna happen until it does happen in the moment. The only thing I didn't like, I love the build up to us finding out, oh, she's a villain the whole time. She actually will take over the world and destroy it. But the only thing I didn't like was when she was stabbing her, you see like her eyes turn like really evil, and then when she gets out the pool, she becomes super innocent, like, oh my gosh, I had to kill her. Like, okay, now at this point we all know that she's evil. I wish that kind of wasn't done and we just didn't know until the last second, or all the pieces to the puzzle get put together and we're like, okay, this girl has to fucking die. Also, one of the things I did notice when it came to her characters, like, you saw the cockiness level just raised to kind of like 1,000 or 1,000,000 whenever it came to her realizing like, oh, it's kind of over, like I basically won, it doesn't really matter, I'm not gonna really die from all of this, everyone's either gonna protect me or everyone is gonna think, hey, this person's a good person. And I will say, it is pretty nice seeing another super evil Clayface depiction. Now, we do have the super funny one obviously from Harley Quinn, but I do love my Clayface that is either a super asshole or basically extremely tragic and dramatic as a person, because the guy is a fucking theater kid. But Flag did have me going on for a second. I almost believed him. I was like, oh my goodness, is she actually innocent? Is she actually a really good girl? No, the fuck she isn't. Now, my boy was super pussy whipped into 1,000,000,000 light years into the future. He thought she was like the best person on the fucking planet. Super convinced, and that was super hilarious when it was like kind of all in his face. But other than that, I had a really good time with Creature Commandos. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see everyone in the comments or in the next video. Tell me what you guys thought about Creature Commandos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.